The cardboard boxes are piling up. The faces are getting younger. Homelessness in America is exploding and we are failing as a society. Walk down any city street from Seattle to Los Angeles to New York and you'll see them. Men and women huddled in doorways, families sleeping in cars, veterans begging for change. These are not just statistics, they are human beings stripped of their dignity. The numbers are staggering. In 2023, over 500,000 people experienced homelessness on a single night. This is a national disgrace. We pride ourselves on being a wealthy nation, yet we allow our own citizens to sleep on the streets. The American dream is turning into a nightmare for far too many. This crisis is not invisible. It's in our parks, under our bridges, and on the steps of our government buildings. It's a constant reminder of our collective failure to care for the most vulnerable among us. We can't ignore it any longer. The causes of homelessness are complex and interlinked. At the heart of the issue is the ever-widening gap between the rich and the poor. Wages have stagnated while the cost of housing has skyrocketed. Millions of Americans are one paycheck away from being on the streets. Mental illness and substance abuse are also major contributors to homelessness. Many people living on the streets struggle with untreated mental health conditions, making it difficult to hold down jobs or maintain stable housing. Addiction to drugs and alcohol further exacerbates these challenges. Eviction is another significant factor driving homelessness. Landlords are increasingly quick to evict tenants for minor infractions or late rent payments. This leaves families, often with children, with nowhere to go. The cycle of poverty and homelessness becomes tragically self-perpetuating. The system is stacked against the poor. We need to ask ourselves some hard questions. Why is affordable housing so scarce? Why are mental health services so inaccessible? Why are we so quick to criminalize poverty? Until we address these systemic issues, the crisis will only worsen. The consequences of homelessness reach far beyond the individuals living on the streets. It strains our already overburdened public services, from healthcare to law enforcement. Emergency rooms become de facto shelters, costing taxpayers millions. The presence of large homeless encampments also fuels community tensions. Residents and business owners complain about sanitation issues, drug use, and crime. This often leads to calls for increased policing and displacement of the homeless, rather than addressing the root causes of the problem. The economic impact is undeniable. Cities lose potential workers and consumers. Tourism suffers as visitors are confronted with the harsh realities of poverty. The social fabric of our communities frays as empathy gives way to fear and indifference. We cannot afford to ignore this crisis any longer. It is time to stop seeing homelessness as someone else's problem. It is a reflection of our values as a society. Do we choose compassion or indifference? Do we choose justice or apathy? The answers to these questions will determine the future of our cities and our nation. Breaking the cycle of homelessness requires a multi-pronged approach. We need to move beyond temporary band-aid solutions and address the systemic issues at the core of this crisis. This means investing in affordable housing, expanding access to mental health and addiction treatment, and reforming our eviction laws. Building more affordable housing is crucial. We need to incentivize developers to create housing options for low-income individuals and families. This means challenging zoning laws, streamlining permitting processes, and providing tax breaks to encourage construction. Mental health services must be more accessible and affordable. We need more community-based mental health clinics, mobile outreach teams, and supportive housing programs. Substance abuse treatment should be readily available, with a focus on harm reduction and long-term recovery. Finally, we must reform our eviction laws. Landlords should be required to provide tenants with more time to pay rent or cure lease violations. Legal aid services should be expanded to help tenants facing eviction navigate the court system. This is not an impossible task. It requires political will, societal commitment, and a fundamental shift in how we view homelessness. It's time to stop seeing people living on the streets as problems to be solved and start seeing them as human beings deserving of our compassion and support.